of 2023, and it was considered in committee, went through this stage, and to be considered at third reading today.
The second bill to be considered among the 4 bills that were under consideration yesterday was the National Prosecution Authority Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6, the National Assembly Bill number 7 of 2023, and passed through. The report was adopted, and the third reading to be considered today.
The House also went on to consider the Human Rights Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2023, and it was considered in committee. It went through, rather it was considered at report stage. It went through report stage with amendments. Third reading is expected to be taken this morning.
The last bill that was considered yesterday was the Zambia Institute of Valuation Surveyors Bill, National Assembly Bill number 9 of 2023, which was considered at report stage, and third reading will be considered today. And the House did adjourn at 16:26 hours today. The presiding officer is expected to take the chair at 09 hours. For now, we'll interest you to what is expected to be considered on the floor of the House today. But before that, let's just take a quick break. All right, let's continue and interest you to what is expected to be considered on the floor of the House today, Friday, the 21st day in the month of July 2023. We expect the 45 minutes allocation to members of Parliament. This is a question without notice to our Honour, the Vice President.
And after the House to consider questions for oral answer, and one of the questions will come from Mlowezi Member of Parliament, Mr. Raphael Mabenga, and he wants to pose a question to the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development. He wants to know in the first part whether government has any plans to demolish the illegally constructed structures along the following rail reserve land in Lusaka district, and this is Mandevu Township to Lilai Police College. At second part, he wants to know, or rather it's Kabwata and Chilenje along Janji commuter rail line. And in the B part of the question, he wants to know when the demolition exercise will commence. And the C part of the question, he wants to know whether those who will be affected by the demolition exercise will be compensated.
We do have a total number of 10 questions for oral answer, understanding order 74, and these are ordinary questions. And we do have 4 bills that are coming up at third reading stage. So we'll interest you to some of the questions that are expected to be considered on the floor of the House. Like my colleague mentioned, question 401 will come from Mr. Nicholas Mukumbi, who is Solwezi West Member of Parliament, and directing his question to the Minister of Water, Development and Sanitation. The member would like to find out whether the government has any plans to construct a water treatment plant in Kalumbila district. And be part of the question, he wants to find out if so, when the plans will be implemented, whether the water supply will include the following areas: Manyama, Lumwana, East, Mumbeji and Kisasa, and if there are no such plans, why? So that's the question that will come from Mr. Nicholas Mukombi from Solwezi West.
We also have a question coming from Chitambo Member of Parliament, Mr. Remember Mutale. He wants to find out from the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development whether government has any plans to rehabilitate the Nakatambo Salu Cave Road in Chitambo District, and if so, when the plans will be implemented, and if there are no plans, why?
Question 406 will come from Mlowezi Member of Parliament. He is directing his question to the Minister of Fisheries and Livestock. The member wants to find out whether the government has any plans to improve the breed of cattle in Mlowezi district. If so, when the plans will be implemented, what the specific plans are, and if there are no such plans, why?
We also have a question coming from Mongo Central Member of Parliament, Mr. Oliver Mutike, and he wants to find out from the Minister of Tourism how many institutions countrywide were offering tourism and hospitality courses as of March 2023. Those are some of the questions that will be expected to be answered on the floor of the House this morning. And just now, we cross to the floor of the House as the Speaker's procession walks in.
Madam Speaker. dancing of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for our rights. We won freedom's fight, oh, one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by those who blend. Let us, all our people, join as one, brothers under the sun. Oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise thee, bless our great Zambia, Zambia, Zambia. Remain we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our church. Amen. Order. Honorable members, have one ruling to deliver. This is on a point of order raised on Wednesday, 14th June 2023 by Mr. C. Andeleki, Member of Parliament for Katombola constituency, against Reverend Katuta, Member of Parliament for Chiengi constituency, for allegedly disrespecting the House and the Honorable Madam Speaker. I order Reverend G.M. Katuta, Member of Parliament for Chienge constituency, to go and stand behind the bar of the House. I also instruct the Sergeant at Arms to take the Speaker's mace and go and stand behind her. Honorable members, the House will recall that on Wednesday, 14th June 2023, when the House was considering the ministerial statement by the Honorable Engineer Simi Lupi MP, Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, on the state of roads in Northwestern Province, Mr. C. Andeleki, Member of Parliament for Katombola constituency, raised a point of order against Reverend G.M. Katuta, MP, His point of order was premised on Standing Orders 207, 1, 2, and 3, as read together with Standing Orders 202 and 203 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2021. In his point of order, Mr. C. Andeleki MP inquired whether Reverend G.M. Katuta MP was in order to disrespect the House and me in the manner she left the chamber after I had ordered her to leave. Honorable members, in my immediate response, I reserved my ruling to enable me review the matter and render a measured ruling. I have since studied the matter and I will now render my ruling. Honorable members, the point of order Mr. C. Andeleki MP raises the issue of a member exhibiting disorderly conduct on the floor of the House and showing disrespect to the presiding officer and the House. The National Assembly Powers and Privileges Act, Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, is instructive in this regard. It provides in section 19D and E as follows, and I quote 19. Any person shall be guilty of an offense who, D, shows disrespect in speech or manner towards the Speaker, or E, commits any other act of intentional disrespect to or with reference to the proceedings of the Assembly or of a committee of the Assembly or to any person presiding at such proceedings. End of quote. Further, Standing Order 2031 and 2 sets out the manner in which members should conduct themselves and states as follows, I quote, 2031. A member shall at all times conduct himself or herself in a manner that upholds the dignity, integrity, and decorum of the House. 2. A member shall not act in a manner that brings the House or other members generally into disrepute. End of quote. Honorable members, I had recourse to the video footage and verbatim record of the parliamentary proceedings of Wednesday, 14th June 2023. A review of the verbatim record confirms that Reverend G.M. Katuta MP was talking while pointing at Honorable Engineer Simi Rupi MP as she was walking out of the chamber. The video footage captured Reverend G.M. Katuta MP walking out of the chamber after I ordered her to leave. When she reached the exit door, she turned and walked back. She walked back in while pointing in my direction and making utterances before walking out again. Honorable members, in line with parliamentary practice and procedure, and in accordance with the rules of natural justice, the Office of the Clerk of the National Assembly on Thursday, 29th June 2023, wrote to Reverend G.M. Katuta MP requesting her to state her side of the story. In her response dated Wednesday, 5th July 2023, Reverend G.M. Katuta MP expressed remorse for her conduct and apologized. She further undertook to ensure that such misconduct did not recur. Honorable members, Reverend G.M. Katuta MP's conduct of walking out of the House while pointing and shouting at fellow members and pointing at a presiding officer was a grave offense, not only against the member and the presiding officer, but the House as a whole. It was therefore an affront on the decorum and dignity of the House, which I am under solemn duty to safeguard. As you are well aware, parliamentary proceedings are broadcast live on parliamentary television. In this regard, the incident, which was broadcast live, received wide publicity, bringing the dignity and integrity of the House into public disrepute and odium. I therefore find Reverend G.M. Katuta MP's conduct a breach of parliamentary privilege and contempt of the House. Honorable members, my predecessor, the erstwhile Speaker, Right Honorable Dr. Matibini, SC, had occasion to rule on a similar matter in the case of Honorable B. M. Munduvile MP versus Mr. G. Jinkombo, Daily Parliamentary Debates, Tuesday, 12th November 2019. In that case, Honorable Munduvile MP, then Government Chief Whip, submitted a complaint against Mr. Gigi Nkombo MP. In the complaint, he alleged that Mr. Gigi Nkombo, Member of Parliament for Masabuka, had conducted himself in a disorderly manner and shown disrespect towards the First Deputy Speaker, Honorable Madam Catherine Namugala. This followed Mr. Gigi Nkombo's MP's failure to withdraw from the chamber through the nearest door available when she ordered him to leave the chamber. In keeping with the Assembly's precedence on similar matters, Mr. Gigi Nkombo MP was suspended from the service of the National Assembly for a period of 10 days. Honorable members, in deciding on the punishment to mete out to Reverend G.M. Katuta MP, I have considered the fact that Reverend G.M. Katuta MP was remorseful and readily apologized for her conduct. This does, however, not absolve her of blame for breaching the rules of the House, but merely gives me a reason to exercise leniency. Therefore, pursuant to Section 28 of the National Assembly Powers and Privileges Act, which grants me power to punish a member found guilty of contempt of the Assembly, I have decided to suspend Reverend G.M. Katuta MP from the service of the National Assembly for a period of 7 days. I now turn to address Reverend G.M. Katuta MP. Reverend G.M. Katuta MP, your conduct of pointing and shouting at the Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development and I in the House is unbefitting the conduct of a Member of Parliament. Further, as a senior member of this august House, you ought to know that this is a house of honor, decorum and dignity, and as such your conduct ought to be exemplary and above reproach. Ordinarily, your conduct would have attracted a more severe punishment, but due to the fact that you have reflected on your behavior and apologized, I have elected to exercise leniency on you. I wish to reiterate that I will not tolerate gross indiscipline and misconduct from you or any other member of this House. The House, decorum and dignity of the House, the honor, decorum and dignity of the House must be protected and preserved at all times. I do trust that you will reflect seriously on your conduct and in future desist from conduct unbefitting of a member and moreover a senior member of the House. Thus, in accordance with Section 28(2) of the National Assembly Powers and Privileges Act, I now put the question. The question is that the House suspends Reverend G.M. Katuta MP for a period of 7 days with effect from today, 19th July 2023. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Reverend G. Katuta MP, before you take your walk of shame through the main entrance door of the Assembly chamber, I wish to inform you that in accordance with Section 28(3) of the National Assembly Powers and Privileges Act, during the period of your suspension, you shall not, 1, enter the premises of the Assembly, and this extends to the National Assembly motel. 2, participate in any activity of the Assembly or any committee that you are assigned in your capacity as Member of Parliament. And 3, be paid a salary or allowance that you are entitled to as a member. I now order you, Reverend G.M. Katuta MP, to take the walk of shame and leave the chamber through the main entrance of the chamber. on 7-day suspension with effect from today, 19th July 2020, 19th July to 25th July 2023. I thank you. Bus- Business statement, Her Honor the Vice President.
Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that the House Business Committee met on Wednesday, 19th July 2023, to determine and schedule business of the House for the final week of this meeting, that is 25th to 28th July 2023, as follows. A. Announcements. The Honorable Speaker may make announcements to the House on any day when it is necessary to do so. B. Rulings. The Honorable Speaker may render rulings if there be any. C. Ministerial statements. Honorable Ministers may make ministerial statements if there will be any. D. Private members' motion. The following private members' motion will be presented by Honorable Emmanuel J. Banda, MP, on the subject matter to reintroduce the Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs on 26th July 2023. Bills. The bills listed hereunder will be presented. The Competition and Consumer Protection Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2023, first reading on 25th July 2023. The Trademarks Bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2023, first reading on the 25th of July 2023. The Defense Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill 12 of 2023, first reading 25th July 2023. The Marriage Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 13 of 2023, first reading on the 25th of July 2023. The Judicial Training Institute of Zambia Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14, 2023, first reading on the 25th July 2023. F. Reports on international conferences. Reports on international conferences may be considered if there will be any. G. Parliamentary Committee reports. The House will consider the following committee reports during the period. That is, Select Committee. The subject is on the report on the petition by Mr. Andrew Sindazi, a member of the public, on 25th July 2023. Another report will be on parastatal bodies, report on the Auditor General on the accounts of parastatal bodies and other statutory institutions for the financial year ended 31st December 2023. This will also be considered on 25th July 2023. The Select Committee, this is on review of the 2022 Annual Progress Report on the implementation of the 8th National Development Plan. This will be considered on 26th July 2023. Public Accounts Committee report. This is the report of the Auditor General on the audits of government payroll for the financial years ended 31st December 2021, on 27th July. The report of the Committee on Local Government Accounts, report on the Auditor General on the accounts of local authorities for the financial year ended 31st December 2021. This will be considered on 28th July 2021. H. Questions. Honorable Ministers will respond to 40 questions for oral answer as set out hereunder. The details of the questions are contained in the notice of questions circulated to all honorable members earlier. Supplementary estimates. The House will consider the 2023 supplementary estimates. J. Suspension of standing orders. Madam Speaker, all things being equal, on Thursday, 27th July 2023, I intend to move a motion to suspend some standing orders in order to facilitate completion of all business that will be on the order paper for Friday, 28th July 2023, and thereafter adjourn sine die. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the House Business Committee and in accordance with Standing Order 189, Part 5 of the National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2021, I have the pleasure to present the business for next week to this august House. I thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much. If there are any matters of urgent public importance, please indicate on the e-chamber or stand. Honorable members who want to raise that can always stand. But I see that we do not have any matters of urgent public importance. We move to the next item. Her Honor, the Vice President's question time. The Honorable Member for Luena.
How did that happen? Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Greetings from the people of Luena, Your Honor, the Vice President. Your Honor, the Vice President, from time to time there have been questions or issues raised by people that worked for some of government agencies that have since been closed. And in this case, I have examples of the Central Board of Health. You still have some organizations that are still operational, but where retirees, despite the government releasing funds, some of them still have issues with claiming their retirement benefits. Now, with a specific reference to the Central Board of Health and other similar agencies, may I find out from you whether the government would be willing to consider a quick audit just to make sure that the funds that the government is timely releasing to settle retirement benefits for some former employees, some of whom have since passed on, are actually being settled to reconcile and ensure we do not have anyone that falls in between the cracks, as the government is now so focused on making sure nobody suffers from not being rewarded for the effort they put in the past. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would like to thank the honorable member, and I'm grateful for the greetings from the people of Luena. The concern the honorable member raises is that, that is, if I got you right, that there are people that have been retired, or indeed they are from closed, or companies that have been, are no longer operational. And they are still claiming, there are still some of those who are claiming their benefits. I believe it could be pension or any other, who claim they have not yet been paid. His concern, Madam Speaker, is that government has been releasing money. But is it that money is going to the right people? Is it that there could be something wrong? With this government that is very, very keen on prudence expenditure and non-pilfering, would they do an audit to ensure that there is nothing wrong happening along the way, from the release to the beneficiary? Can they audit these institutions, the monies that are going and to whom? Madam, this indeed, if it be the case, this must be done, because we have to ascertain whether truly the people that are claiming are also the right people, and if they have a claim, and if the money going is going to the right people. I think that this is a good suggestion, and government will look into that and see how we can resolve this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nalolo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Your Honor the Vice President, good morning. Your Honor the Vice President, since time immemorial, the government of the Republic of Zambia has never had the right to recognize any traditional leader in Western Province who has not been installed by the Litunga. And this has been the practice since independence. As you may be aware, Your Honor, Vice President, the second highest hierarchy in command in Western Province is the Litungalamboela, hosted in Nalolo. But collectively, it was shocking to see that for the first time in history, this government found itself pronouncing itself and recognizing traditional leader who's not being recognized by the Litunga, in the name of Chief Kahare and Chief Mutondo, and whose issues have been subject of the courts. What informed this government to find itself pronouncing and acknowledging a chief who's not been recognized by the Litunga? This is a concern from the people of Western Province collectively. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Her Honor the Vice President. Order, honorable members. Let's listen to the answer.
I hope that I didn't miss a point. The member wants to know that from time immemorial, the recognition of chiefs in Western Province is of those that have been installed by the royal establishment of the Barotse. And now you say there is recognition. The beauty, Madam Speaker, about this is I can't even go in detail of who is recognized or who is installed, because we may still be dwelling in the past. Currently, under the Constitution, Article 165, government is not in those issues of who is installed and recognized. People keep bringing such issues, and this is an opportunity, Madam Speaker, for me to say, if there are quarrels over chiefdoms and the chiefs, please, that is yours. Now you have a right, yourselves settle it. We will accept whom you give to us. So it is no longer the issue. I hope people are listening. Some of them know who come to my office. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kantanshi. Honorable Member for Kantanshi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have just come from the end of the harvest period for maize, and we have seen that the price of mealie meal has continued to rise, which is quite indifferent from the nature of when you are harvesting, the price starts to decline. And then when you're planting, the price again starts to go up, as we saw last year in November, December, January, February. I wanted to find out from the government what measures will be implemented immediately to support the decline in the cost of mealie meal. Thank you.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Minister. However, thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Kantanshi, who brings the issue of the price of mealie meal rising, especially that this is just after the end of the harvest season for maize, which is unprecedented because normally the prices should go down and rise later as we go into planting season. I will attribute this to maybe one or two factors. One is that the Honorable Member may remember that government set the price of maize for the farmers to 280. So that automatically means that the one who buys will also do a markup, and the situation goes like that. So government would expect that, indeed, no matter how difficult it is, millers should mill with a reasonable addition to their mealie meal. And therefore, by the time this reaches the market for the consumer, one would hope that the very maximum we can think of is about 250. But we are hearing of all this. So yes, number one, I've said, because of the cost of maize that has been improved for the farmer. Because I think we all realize that the cost of maize has been, the subsidy makes the cost of maize very, very low. In fact, even the farmer gets very little. Government, at the end of the day, that grows the maize through those farmers, continuously throws in this. But to try and give a real cost to maize, this happened. So it has contributed, but not to this level. The other contributing factor that comes to mind is sometimes the greed of the chain, the business people, including mainly the millers. How much are they adding to the cost? I think that we should all be patriotic enough to ensure that you can have profit, but not inflated, cost, so that people start failing to do that. Maybe let me use this opportunity, Madam Speaker, particularly to colleagues, the millers, that it is important that you think of the Zambian because they are your clients. For the continuity of your business, you should think of the client. Make profit, but not exaggerated profit. I don't know whether colleagues who are millers, who are private sector participating in the economy, would want this government to make milling plants all over the country. Because today I was learning, Honorable Minister, I hope it is true, that National Service is selling at very low. What is the difference? Very low. I was given figures of 150 and 120. How can you compare to some people even going as far as 300 if that is not greed? So are we going to compete? Government is ready because they want to serve the people. We can bring competition and have milling plants all over. But we have given opportunity to the private sector. So I'm using this house, Madam, that let them be reasonable in the profit that they are making. Because all of us should serve our people. They are your clients, they are our people. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kafue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We are almost coming to the end of this parliamentary calendar next week. And from the previous one, Madam Speaker, we had presented and have been following up on the issue concerning the former workers of Kafue Textiles. And our government has shown care for the human resource that has saved it in the past and also currently. But I have not had any formal response concerning the plight of the former workers of KTZ. And as I stand here, I think I feel aggrieved as their representative. I just wanted to find out from Her Honor, the Vice President, as to what message of hope she has for the former workers of KTZ with regard to their outstanding benefits. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Kafue, indeed for the care for the people that live in Kafue. Kafue textile workers have not been paid to date. Maybe I should start by saying this was a private company. That is what I was trying to confirm. And I can only say that government will continue to try and follow up, because I think, Honorable, there were too many issues. The engagement of lawyers, the what and what. Government will continue to follow. But being a private company, it is not like it was a private company, Madam, and therefore the engagement of government becomes a little limited. But being in charge of the Zambian people, government will continue to follow. Thank you.
The Honorable Member is saying it's a parastatal. Anyway, probably the Honorable Member for Kafue can make a follow-up. Her Honor, the Vice President wants to say something.
Yeah, I think we will need to know the time, because whether those were laid off, as she says, under parastatal, or when it was transiting from parastatal to private, because what I learned is that it was privatized, it's no longer, it was no longer parastatal. So maybe a little more detail. But if that is what you have been talking about all the time, I think there are lawyers in between, there are issues in between, because they took it upon themselves, which was right, but I think there was some cheating along the way. The government will respond.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Bwengwa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Her Honor, the Vice President, I think you remember quite well, on 12th of August 2021, people of Zambia woke up in large numbers to go and vote for members of parliament, for councillors and the president. And some people slept in the polling stations. And, Madam Speaker, we were voted to come here and work and speak for the people who we represent. However, the Vice President, we were not voted by the people of Zambia to come and sit quietly here, just drinking tea, okay, then getting salaries and allowances without working for the people who we represent. Your Honor, the Vice President, what message do you have, especially for the people of Luapula, Northern Province, Muchinga Province, and part of Eastern Province? For they don't have right now people who are representing them, who have just come here to sit and drinking tea only, getting allowance. What message of hope do you have for them so that they can start preparing in 2026, so that they can elect people who can come and represent them properly. I thank you so much.
Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the honorable member for that concern. He says people voted us to come here and speak on their behalf. And according to the honorable member, he has seen that there is no participation. However, Madam Speaker, I will say what I know about here. We all don't speak at the same time. So some may have decided to keep quiet today. They have no issues. Tomorrow they will speak, because we all don't speak at the same time. We have to take time to observe. Maybe they are extremely happy with what is going on. If people are happy, do you just talk? So we congratulate them for keeping quiet, because we are doing a good job.
The Honorable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and Your Honor, good morning, and greetings from the good people of Ron constituency. Madam Speaker, allow me, before I pose the question, to state here that it's on this floor that I stood and requested the Honor the Vice President to seriously consider reopening 28 shaft in Luanshya. I want to say thank you, Madam Speaker, to the government through our Honor the Vice President, that indeed serious steps have been taken to ensuring that 28 shaft gets kicking. Your Honor the Vice President, prior to the elections in 2021, one of the campaign promises of the UPND government was that they were going to reunite the couples that were separated because of transfers. Your Honor the Vice President, seriously speaking, after the elections, people were trying to be reunited. However, the trend has continued, Your Honor the Vice President, of separating couples from each other, especially in the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. What is the position of the government on this issue? Has it changed the goalposts of reuniting the couples that were separated, and instead starts again to separate them? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, and indeed, good morning, Honorable Member for Ron. I thank the Honorable Member for this question. Maybe before the question is the appreciation that 28 shaft will be reopened. This is a working government. This is how we are going to improve the livelihoods of our people. To even be able to capture the issues of prices, because we want to put income into the hands of the people. So thank you very much for recognizing the work. The promise of reuniting couples still stands very strongly. It is our policy. And if I knew, I would have come with some figures. But there is a lot of reuniting of couples in the different ministries. However, because the numbers were very huge, we have not reached everybody. But government is working on that. As long as there is a position somewhere, they ensure. That includes local government. I'm aware of some people in local government being reunited. But maybe the situation should be or could be attributed to new employees. Because when people are getting employed, I don't think there is a question, where does your husband live or your wife? So they get employed, and seemingly people are posted wherever vacancies occur. I know that the commission, the local government commission, is also working very hard to try and reunite the people. We will continue. We have not, relegated this issue. Neither have we changed goalposts, we will still continue. It may not be done in a very short time because there are many, and you have to find somebody to replace another person who is equally qualified. It's not an easy task, but we have not changed the goalpost. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chinkankanta.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good morning, Your Honor. Your Honor, following the question which was asked by Honorable Mngando on the floor of the House, stating that the new system at Ministry of Lands hasn't been working for the past 3 months, what is the current status of the system? I submit.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you, and good morning, Honorable Member for Chikankata, and good morning, and I thank you, Madam Speaker. If I remember what Honorable Mngando asked, if this is the question being referred to, when he said the Ministry of Lands was not functioning, and that many people were failing to get title deeds and other services under the ministry. I hope that's what you are referring to. What I am briefed is that there is no such a thing. The ministry is working up to today. All common services have been working. Okay. Yeah, I am getting the brief as I stand. Yeah, but what I know is they are transitioning, if I can say that, to digitalization. This is what I know. And now, after this, or through these processes, there are some who may not access the information because the system is still being tested. And therefore, some clients will continue to await to log in for them to give a position. So they are digitalizing. I think we should be happy that this is happening. I have a list here which really I can't give because it is showing which files have not tested and which files are tested. I think if people want, I can lay it on the table because I can't.
Thank you very much. The documents will be laid on the table for the information of honorable members. The honorable member for Bwana Mkubwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, I honor the Vice President, for answering questions from the honorable members. I honor the Vice President. My question, the actuarial scientists sat and made a projection from NAPSA that the partial payouts, they'll pay about 800 members, equivalent to 11 billion kwacha. As we speak on 30th of June, NAPSA has paid 7.7 billion to 300, and just to give you the actual figures, to 332,000 members to that effect. And against the 800 members, if you look at the mathematics there, we are able to maybe pay probably 20 billion. I wanted to find out, because this is a good cause and people have gotten their partial payments, how does NAPSA intend to mitigate the gap against our projection, looking that they do actuarial investments which take time to mature? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Bwana Mkubwa on the observation of this partial payment and the figures as projected and the reality on the ground, and that there is a gap. If the numbers have to be met, then we have a deficit on the, the money that was set aside. I think we should, Madam Speaker, realize that to a point this is a novel situation, and therefore it's a process that we will continue to look at. But it's good that we have started. The process continues. If there is need to allocate more, that probably will be done because it is a promise to the people. And remember, it is a continuous situation, income in, income out, and investment. Oh, what? Okay. Yeah, she is giving me addition, which is true, because the projection is not certain. Because even out of the projection, some people may not even come to claim because they feel that they can wait until their time. It's not mandatory that everybody should get partial payment. So these are the issues that you look around. One would have thought maybe the numbers will not be this far, or indeed they will be lower than that. It's not mandatory that people should get partial payment. And the process continues, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Dundumwezi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And Your Honor, greetings from the farmers of Dundumwezi constituency. The farmers of Dundumwezi are extremely excited for the price of maize that government gave, and they're so excited. However, Madam Speaker, they are asking when the government will start receiving soybeans, because right now those who submitted their maize to FRA, they are so happy that they are already started receiving their monies from FRA. So the question is, when are you receiving the soybeans? Thank you so much.
Honor the Vice President.
Thank you very much, and indeed we send greetings to the good people of Dundumwezi. Thank you that the Honorable Member, on behalf of the people of Dundumwezi, appreciates the raising of the price of maize, because they are maize producers, and I hear there is good harvest in Dundumwezi. So they are right to be excited about the price. His concern is on soybean. They have already started purchasing, so you can deliver. It is 6 kwacha per kg. The payment prompt is here. So deliver, Honorable. You start on behalf of the people of Dundumwezi. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, our country, Madam Vice President, our country today is indebted. We've got over 14 billion debt, which we need to pay. And if you go to Mapatiza in Southern Province, you go to Mansa in Wapla Province, you go to Nyimba in Eastern Province, these areas are rich in minerals. These areas, Madam Speaker, in Mansa today, we are talking about sugilite, which is very expensive. 1 kg, maybe 1 ton is over. It's more expensive than 5 trucks of copper trucks. You go to Mapatiza, there is lithium. You go to Nyimba, there is lithium. Madam Speaker, through you, Madam Speaker, what has taken us so long, Your Honor, the Vice President, to come up with a policy so that we can start processing or mining these minerals so that we can reduce the debts we have? Madam Speaker, it doesn't need for us to bring in a consultant from Harvard, but we have our engineers out there. What is so difficult to come up with a policy. Thank you.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you very much. Thank you for, like every Zambian, recognizing that Zambia is mineral rich. And some minerals are just being discovered. And one thing we know is some of them are not yet listed and therefore not easy to tell. Sorry. But the most important thing is that I think the Minister of Mines and Minerals Development has made it clear that there is need to bring sanity in the industry, because there is a lot going on with people illegally mining and so on. So indeed, I agree that we have to work a little faster to ensure that the policy is put in place to guide this huge industry from which this country can benefit and even come out of debt faster than we have projected. So I do understand. We will continue to encourage one another, and that's an encouragement to us as government through the Ministry of Mines and Minerals. We are working on that. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Katombora.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mine is to also bring fraternal greetings to our Honorable Vice President. Madam Vice President, the people of Katombora want you to visit them, particularly at the ceremony, which will be with Chief Nyawa's Palace. Madam Speaker, my question has to do with the guns, Madam Vice President. When we went into the election in 2021 in August, there were a lot of guns with cadres. A lot of guns, so unprecedented, Madam Vice President, that the elections had to be policed by the Zambia Army for the first time. The soldiers had to be engaged because of the unprecedented violence, particularly the proliferation of arms that were in the hands of the cadres. We had people that were called NATO forces. We had people that had called themselves Commander One. Others had called themselves America, whatever it was. Helicopters were almost bent. It was unprecedented violence that we saw in this country, never seen before since 1964, Madam Vice President. My question, Madam Vice President, is when is this government going to recover these firearms, the illegal firearms that are in possession of the cadres? I thank you, Madam Vice President.
Thank you. Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Katombora. Good morning. Thank you for the invitation, but we can talk about that later. We would like to visit Katombora. The concern is the many guns in wrong hands. I think that is the shortest way I can put it. Many guns in many wrong hands. You referred to cadres, which made the elections very, very difficult and unprecedented violence, bringing in the army to help us police the issue. And you have requested us to, you have asked us to when we will mop up the guns. I think for now I may not have a clear answer. Yes, there would be need for amnesty. I will love to find the correct answers to where exactly we are, because it is important that these guns, Madam Speaker, are gotten from people who got them, most of them illegally, and used for wrong reasons, so that we can ensure more peace in our peaceful country. I will come back to give the status. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have a concern with our teachers in Kalabo. It is observed with sadness that
there's too much absenteeism. They absent themselves to such high levels of displeasure. As they go to the banking facilities for them to acquire their salaries, they find it difficult to come back, to get back to their schools. So some of our schools, they are under distress because these teachers are not available. What is the comment from the government concerning such teachers? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you very much. Absenteeism of teachers, I think what the Honorable says, I thought you would probably go to Chimpapila as one of the issues, but he is referred to long distances to access, I think that's what I get, to access services like banking services. I think we have to continuously engage maybe even the ministry to see how people can access their salaries, especially going under this digitalization. Is there a possibility that they don't have to go to a physical bank? Empower the people of Kalabo. But I think it is something that needs a conversation. It is understood services are not there for teachers, so they travel long distances. From what he has said, I take it that also transport is not reliable, so they stay too long. I think it's a big issue of development that needs a conversation beyond just my response here. Madam, thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chasefu.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Your Honor, the Vice President. First, I would like to congratulate government for restructuring the debt that has been very problematic for the country. Madam, Your Honor, the Vice President, the people of Chasefu have been grappling with the bad state of the Lundazi-Chama road. This road, since independence, 58 years after independence, it has never seen a tarmac. And that is the gateway to Tanzania, to Nakonde, and that enhances commerce. The previous regime had promised to put a tarmac. Later on, they downgraded the road to gravel. And that gravel was not done. Now that we have a responsible government of the new dawn, do the people of Chasefu, Chama, and Rundazi, are they going to see this good road that promotes commerce and good livelihood going to be tarred in this country? Thank you very much.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'd like to thank the Honorable Member for Chasefu, particularly for acknowledging the debt restructuring, because even the question comes from the past, how we acquired debt, and debt whose benefits are not easy to see. Let me take also, Madam Speaker, this opportunity to congratulate my President for working so hard, so very hard, and has been able, with this Minister of Finance, congratulations, my Minister, not Honorable Stumbeko Musokotwane. I think Zambians must appreciate that together with the President, and indeed the entire team, you have managed to restructure. And for you, Honorable Minister, even recognized and awarded Ha! Yeah. This is, with the Foreign Investment Network, Forbes. Ah, you are the best of Africa. Outstanding, hear the words, the best of the outstanding. So is the best of the best minister. Congratulations. Continue working hard for the sake of the Zambian people. We are looking to this government. This government, honorable member of Chasefu, cannot allow itself to fail the Zambian people. And therefore, when you ask as to whether, of course you have referred to the past, that there has been failure. This, I've said, should not and will not allow itself to fail. There is a plan, yes, to tar, from Matumbo in Muchinga province. So, from Matumbo, and then right all the way through. But this has been listed under PPP. Because you have said it is a gateway to Tanzania and East Africa, I think you see the interest. That's why it has been listed. It is one of those that is viable, and in a good state, we will attract a lot of traffic. It is good. So it is on the plan, Honorable Member of Parliament. Thank you, Madam.
Yeah. Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was actually waiting for this. Your Honor, the Vice President, I appreciate the many good answers that you are giving to this House. I can even see that our colleagues from the left, they're actually smiling. That is actually an indication that they are satisfied with the answers that are coming from you. Your Honor, the Vice President, I appreciate that the President gave a CDF with colossal sums of money to many constituencies. Your Honor, the Vice President, I appreciate that the President gave us a lot of money in terms of CDF. But however, my concern is if we are not careful with this CDF, we may end up shooting ourselves into the foot. The reason why I'm saying this is because if you look at the presidential directive, I remember very vividly that he came to this House and he said that the people that are supposed to benefit from these projects are actually the people that live within the constituency. If you look at Lusaka City Council right now, you will discover that the procurement of most of these projects are not being followed. It's either they are giving contracts to people who are coming from the Copper Belt or even Eastern Province. The locals are not benefiting. Again, if you go and check with what Lusaka City Council is doing, you discover that in terms of supervision, Lusaka City Council is not on top of things. What is it that government is putting in place to ensure that, number one, the issue of presidential directive is followed, and that the supervision of some of these projects is followed up by the engineering department at Lusaka City Council? I thank you.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Kabwata. CDF, we have said, is the flagship of this government, and we cannot again afford to see this program fail. I think it is to the interest of all of us. It should not just be about winning elections for members of parliament. It's about ensuring there is development in your constituencies for our people. And I'm happy that the honorable member, you followed the instructions, the guidance of the president, that this CDF is meant to develop each constituency. And therefore, it should not be used to go to other constituencies or indeed towns to develop those. Otherwise, we will have a gap in the constituencies where projects are being given to other constituencies. This is the guidance. Unless that constituency does not have the expertise, then we move to the district. But looking at Lusaka, I don't see one constituency that would lack expertise. In as much as Lusaka City Council is looking after 7, districts, they must know that CDF is allocated to constituencies. And therefore, projects must be given in the same manner. In fact, I think I heard of a report that the Lusaka City Council is one of the slowest in disbursement and implementation of programs in the country. That is unfortunate. I'm speaking through the minister to the Lusaka City Council. That should not be allowed. They should have the very best expertise to be able to look at projects and ensure that the program goes on. We want to ensure that this program works very, very well. So money is constituency-based. Whether you are looking after 10 constituencies, ensure the amount goes to the right constituents in the country. Just as I sit down, madam, to remind ourselves that we have sent the Copper Queens, and tomorrow they hit the pitch. And they will meet Japan. We send a message from here that they will do it. They are well able. Zambia, Bola Mingalato. Do it, girls.
Thank you very much. What a good note to end. Apologies, honorable members. There are so many people, honorable members, who have indicated, but we could only take so many within the allowed time. At least we have had 14 questions asked by the honorable members. We have gone down by 1 from last week, but still good enough. I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Tourism to make a ministerial statement. The Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to deliver a ministerial statement on the reports of human-wildlife conflict in Shangomo Parliamentary Constituency in Western Province, and will also take this opportunity, Madam Speaker, to address the concerns of elephants that have reported to be on rampage, destroying people's properties and crop fields, particularly in Makondo, Mwimba, and Chili villages in Chama North Parliamentary Constituency in Eastern Province. I will further outline the current remedial measures being implemented by the Ministry of Tourism through the Department of National Parks and Wildlife to minimize the problem of human-wildlife conflict. It is my sincere hope that the response I will render will address the number of concerns in the 2 parliamentary constituencies, that is Shangombo and Chama North. Madam Speaker, let me start by saying that I'm grateful for the opportunity to make clarifications on the issues raised and allay fears of the people in the affected areas. You may wish to recall that on the 9th of June 2023, I did present in this August House a ministerial statement on the human-wildlife conflict situation in Zambia as a whole and remedial measures being undertaken to mitigate the complex problem. I did highlight to the House that the human-wildlife conflict has become a matter of concern lately, and it seems to be on the increase in comparison with the situation in the previous years. Madam Speaker, I wish to reiterate that the increase in human-wildlife conflict, which is currently being experienced, is largely attributed to the expansion of human settlements into protected areas through encroachment, blockage of wildlife corridors, introduction of wildlife in game management areas, and the increase in human population. Human-wildlife conflict from time immemorial has continued commanding large public outcries and bad publicity from the public. This phenomena has been reflected in a number of reports that my ministry has received. Madam Speaker, Shangombo constituency lies in the West Zambezi Game Management Area, which is an important elephant migration route connecting the Luenga-Luana National Park in Angola and Sioma-Ngwezi National Park in Zambia. As this House may be aware, the area is an integral part of the Kavango-Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area, which of course Zambia is currently chairing. Madam Speaker, the Transfrontier Conservation Area, TFCA, are part of government's efforts to promoting tourism in the country and the region, whereby management of wildlife is done at a transboundary level in conjunction with our neighboring countries. Madam Speaker, increased support in law enforcement and sustained community sensitization and extension has led to a steady increase in the elephant population in Shangombo and surrounding areas. In this respect, the large herds of elephants which have been crossing into Zambia from Angola, Namibia, and Botswana seem to have found safe environment in this particular area. Thus, the migration of elephants has been utilizing this area as a feeding place, and in most cases have become a nuisance to the number of people and indeed their crop fields. Nonetheless, Madam Speaker, I wish to assure the people of Shangombo constituency that my ministry has deployed adequate personnel from the time we received the report. In addition, in the operational area, in a bid to create a safe haven for both wildlife and indeed our people. Madam Speaker, I am sad to inform this august House through you that the report we received by our office with respect to the grade 4 Pew who was injured by an elephant on the leg in Natukoma area. However, Madam Speaker, the Pew's leg that will be amputated is one which obviously was affected between the leg and the knee. I have since been informed that as at July 17, 2023, the Pew has been reported to be out of danger. Madam Speaker, officers from the Sioma-Ngwezi Management Area Unit are working with the Office of the District Commissioner, Shangombo District, to see how best we can assist members of the public in these affected areas. Deployment of more wildlife police officers has since been done to provide further security. I would also like to make mention, Madam Speaker, and appeal to the members of the communities where these animals are passing through to avoid harassing animals as they may agitate them and consequently cause attack to unsuspecting passerbys. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform you that the ministry has been deploying officers in affected areas to help scare elephants and also educate and sensitize members of the community on coexistence with these wild animals. Officers are deployed to respond to cause of human-wildlife conflict and also to educate locals on animal behavior and what we should have been done when it comes across an elephant or a herd of elephants. Madam Speaker, as a long-term measure and ensuring safety for communities in Shangombo constituency, the Ministry of Tourism is opening an office in the District Commissioner's offices which will be permanently stationed there. The Office of the District Commissioner Shangombo has since allocated the Ministry an office space, and I wish to report that 5 officers have been deployed to man that particular area. Madam Speaker, in response to the concerns of property and crop field destruction in Chama North constituency, I wish to reiterate that what was stated in the June Ministerial statement I had delivered on 9th June 2023 on the effectiveness of the measures being undertaken to reduce human-wildlife conflict in the country, which include, but not limited to, the following: training of community members, development of participatory village land use plans, data collection, mass media, and the deployment of wildlife police officers. Further, Madam Speaker, the Ministry is in the process of amending the Wildlife Act number 14 of 2015, and it intends to propose a provision for relief in the case of loss of crop or livestock and consolation when human life is lost. Madam Speaker, these are some of the measures that the Ministry is implementing in order to reduce or completely curb the human-wildlife conflict in affected areas across the country. The New Dawn government is committed to ensuring that human-wildlife conflict is amicably resolved for the good of both humans and wildlife. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement given by the Honorable Minister of Tourism. The Honorable Member for Nalolo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Minister of Finance on his recognition. Madam Speaker, we border with Shangombo in Nalolo West, Shangombo and Sioma, and we also have an issue of hippos. And Nalolo recorded 1 death this month and 4 casualties with hippos. Now, this could be the 3rd or the 4th ministerial statement on human-animal conflict. Madam Speaker, one of the greatest challenges that we are having with this human-animal conflict is the responsiveness of the ministry when a casualty happens. It takes time, it takes days, it takes weeks. Now, is the minister willing to really interrogate this further by perhaps having a responsiveness, rapid responsiveness policy, so that when a casualty happens, the officers are on the ground? When they hear that the villagers or the citizens have killed an elephant, they appear the same day. But when it's a human being being attacked, it takes time. So is he willing to interrogate further the responsiveness of his officers on the ground, and perhaps also have a coexistence policy which he can roll out with the support of civil society and the caucus on environment in this parliament? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you for that follow-up question for Honorable MP for Nalolo. Indeed, we are very willing to interrogate the system much better, and I did mention before on the floor of the House that the issues of rapid response from my officers is purely based on administrative, which my ministry is seriously looking into, to ensuring that the staff respond to human-wildlife conflict the similar way they respond to cause of, or what I would like to call, to information pertaining to poaching within our protected areas. Madam Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to also state that we are, as a ministry, in the process of getting to do an animal census, especially that of the hippos. You may wish to note that Zambia today has the largest population of hippos in Africa. And indeed, we are working towards seeing how best we could work around in terms of cropping of those hippos that are dotted across our country. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Shangombo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the Honorable Minister for being sincere in his ministerial statement. That is how it should be, Minister. Thank you. Honorable Minister, is there any help that you are going to render to the people who have had their fields destroyed by these wild beasts, and especially also the girl who had the leg amputated? Any help so that she can fill her education? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you for that follow-up question from Honorable Member from Shangombo. Indeed, in the amendment of our Wildlife Act, Madam Speaker, we are providing for what we'd like to call a relief fund that will go towards those particular communities or indeed individuals who may be affected by human-wildlife conflict. As it stands now currently, we do not have that provision, but purely based on humanitarian grounds, Honourable Member of Parliament should be able to come and have coffee with me at my office to see how best we could assist this young boy and indeed their family. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you. Minister, Madam Speaker, thank you. Minister, thank you for your statement. And Minister, if you look at Chama, should I say the entire Luangwa valleys, you know that there's non-Zambian, maybe one or two, those Zambians, they might be Indian origin, by the Zambians, and maybe whites who are maybe Zambians, and a good number of them, they are foreigners. These areas, Madam Speaker, you may wish to know that the entire country, even when we talk about Shangombo today, it's because of the good management by those lodge owners. We've managed to keep the levels of animals going up. But, Minister, if you go to Tanzania today, you have been to Tanzania just after Chitonga, there is a national park there. And there is no problem with human-animal conflict. If you go to South Africa, is it Kruger National Park? There is no animal-human conflict. If we go to Mfuwe today, the levels of human-animal conflicts are low. If you go to Shangombo, you go to Chama, you go to Nyimba, you find that the animal-human conflict is so huge. And the solution to this, it's known. Why is it so difficult, Minister, to tell those lodge owners or the ranch owners to put up the electrical fences? Madam Speaker, please allow me to say this. The issue of telling us that the human numbers have grown than the animals, that is not correct. Madam Speaker, my village has moved 30 kilometers from the attacks of animals, and those animals have followed us, destroying crops. And the issue to this, it's a well-known, is to put up an electric fence. Where the electric fences are, Madam Speaker, there is no human-animal conflict. Minister, why it's so difficult for you to give a directive to the ranch owners to see to it that they put up electric fence so that they can even assist government to manage the wild animals, especially elephants and lions and hippos, which have overgrown in population, and when are you cropping them, especially the hippos? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honourable Member of Parliament for Nyimba, for that triple-barreled question. Madam Speaker, I have been on several occasions on the floor of this House and stated categorically that we are not looking at having to fence off the national park. The idea of a national park, and this is the reason why Zambia safari remains as a pristine safari, because we do not have a zoo. These other places which you've mentioned, Kruger is fenced. I regard it as a zoo. If you go to Tanzania also, those are zoos. What we have here in Zambia is a park, and it's wild animals. However, I would like to make mention, Madam Speaker, that we in Africa, as ministers in charge of wildlife, do have a similar problem of human-wildlife conflict. I currently chair the Council of Ministers for Kaza, Angola, Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. And these are the discussions that we're having. And if at all any of my colleague ministers across Kaza and indeed SADC
talking about managing human-wildlife conflict, I think they would be lying. However, we are looking at how best we could I'd like to say, create remedial solutions that will allow us to coexist with these particular animals that are what I'd like to call our paymasters. Tourism in Africa is about wildlife. It's about flora and fauna. And that is what we want to use. So if you're going to now create fences across, it will actually bring in more pressure to those particular areas that are not fenced, which is the communities that we live in. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member from Bavala.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and good morning. I also want to join my colleagues in indeed congratulating Honorable Msokotwani for the excellent award of the best finance minister in the continent. Well done, and job well done, and of course kudos continue to His Excellency and the entire cabinet. Madam Speaker, animals in the Mbabara have got, I think elephants have got a route which they use to come to these communities. And in Mbabara, last year, we lost some people, and we have seen that the elephants, they have this route where they come from the west direction, and they even come up to my home in Macha, where we have a nice big forest, and then they move towards Kabanze Mayobo direction, where they killed a person last year. Is the Ministry of Tourism, Honorable Minister, looking at employing local wildlife officers or guards who can be trained to do friendly management of these elephants, so that they can manage them in a friendly way to steer them towards the game park and avoid this human-animal conflict, including sensitizations. At least these will be people who work and get paid because they are working, unlike people here who come to sit and want to get paid without working. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member of Parliament from Bawala, for that follow-up question. Indeed, the Minister of Tourism is looking at increasing staffing levels in most of the protected areas. And just last year, Madam Speaker, the Ministry received Treasury Authority to recruit 351 wildlife police officers, of which, as a ministry, we targeted at the local community scouts to be upgraded as wildlife police officers. That is an action that was tabled to the ministry, and we have executed. We will be looking at getting further Treasury Authority from the Ministry of Finance to see how best we could beef up more wildlife police officers in the affected areas, such as Mbawala, Chama North, Chama South, as well as Nyimba. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Mfalali.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving an opportunity to ask a question to the Minister. Firstly, Madam Speaker, may I just join the world in congratulating our Minister of Finance, Honorable Dr. Stumbeko Musokotwan, for good performance, together with the President of the Republic and the entire Cabinet. My question to the Minister of Tourism. Minister of Tourism, I come from Sioma area, just near the Sioma Ngwezi National Park. In there, you have huge numbers of elephants coming from Okavango all the way into Shangombo. And it's very difficult to use transport or movement of cars to monitor these elephants. Do we see a modernized way of monitoring these huge herds of elephants if they move, maybe using satellite or drones, so that
there could be an early warning system, or it becomes part of the early warning system to ensure that these herds, as they move towards either Stoti or into Shangombo, are able to warn the citizens that these numbers of animals are headed that way. And it will also help the 5 officers that you have put in Shangombo. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Tourism.
Madam Speaker, thank you for that question and the follow-up from Honorable Mfalali. Indeed, with the onset of technology, Madam Speaker, the Minister of Tourism, through the CASA Secretariat, has instituted an exercise that we are collaring these particular elephants to actually see exactly what route they use within the region. And also, Madam Speaker, I wish to report that as late as 2022, within the CASA region, we conducted an aerial survey of all elephant population in the 5 countries, as it were. And the data that we have at the moment will be shared to the public in due course. That indeed is what will inform us on how best we are going to manage the growing population of these elephants across the region. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Magoe.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Let Magoe as well join the other honorable members of Parliament to congratulate the Honorable Minister of Finance for the job well done. Yeah. Honorable Minister, I want to find out from you, how much are you equipping the wildlife officers to sensitize the community in game management areas to ensure that the community around there, they are effectively informed on the activities of the animals as they transgress from other areas into their catchment areas? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you for that follow-up question, Honorable Member of Parliament from Magoe. Indeed, we have seen an increased deficit on our officers with regards to sensitization. I would like to call them soft issues on how best they would be able to sensitize the communities. However, Madam Speaker, we have already an existing structure within the communities, within the game management areas, which speaks to how best we could sensitize these communities. This is by way of having our community resource boards, which are nominated from the communities themselves, and also the various non-governmental organizations that we have partnered with within the Ministry of Tourism to help us sensitize on the need of safeguarding these particular animals, not only the animals, Madam Speaker, and indeed the forests that they live in. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, we are, as a ministry, at almost the tail end of having to equip our members of Parliament who live in these game management areas. Just this week, Madam Speaker, we should have done our induction, but hopefully before the House adjourns, these members of Parliament, your members, Madam Speaker, will be equipped with the necessary requisite resources to be able to communicate to their constituencies, is it the constituents, on how best to coexist with wildlife. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Mongo Central.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'll confine my question to Sioma and Shangombo area. It seems to me that the problem in that area is the overpopulation of these elephants and vis-a-vis the land that is available. So my question to you, Minister, that why don't you consider killing these elephants or migrating some of them to parks which have a lot of land? I'm also well informed just now that elephants can be eaten, by the way. So why can't it be game meat at Parliament Motel? Thank you.
I know losses like hippo meat. The Honorable Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member of Parliament for Mongo Central. Madam Speaker, I know for a fact that we could have the appetite of having to crop these animals at any given time, but what is unfortunate in a good way is that Zambia is a party to a number of countries of which we have signed up to ensuring that we keep these animals, we safeguard them at any cost. And as such, it becomes a bit problematic for us to unilaterally make a decision of whether we kill animals or not. However, certain animals today have been listed as endangered, and one of the animals that has been listed as an endangered species is that of elephants. So we will be able to see how best we could move the category of the elephants from being endangered so that we should be able, within our region, which is the Kaza region, be able to discuss issues of cropping, or indeed what you suggested earlier, which I strongly feel is the best, which is translocating to other areas. In Zambia today, some of the areas which we strongly feel are in need of wildlife are areas such as the Northern Circuit. In Kaputa, Madam Speaker, is an area where we're trying to increase the habitat to be able to find a balance on the number of in the number of animals that are situated within the various protected areas. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Senanga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and through you to the Minister of Tourism.
Order. As the time is 10:40, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
You are still watching Parliament television, and the House has taken a 20 minutes health break. We look at what has been discussed on the floor of the House so far from the time the House started sitting.
At the time business was suspended for that 20 minutes health break, the House was considering the ministerial statement that was rendered by the Minister of Tourism, and this ministerial statement was on the human-animal conflict in Shangombo. This was a directive by Madam Speaker arising from the matter of urgent public importance, which was raised by Shangombo Member of Parliament. That's Mr. Movika. And at the time, business was interrupted. It was Mr. Walusi Wamulaliki, who is Senanga Member of Parliament, who was on the floor of the House about to ask a follow-up question.
And earlier on, we had Her Honor the Vice President's question time, and then there was also a ruling that was rendered by Honorable Madam Speaker on the conduct of Member of Parliament for Chiengi, given Katuta. So details will be coming later. For now, we take a break.
Hello and welcome to this special sports program right here on Parliament Radio and Parliament TV. My name is George Gaviao Piri, and today we are here at Atlantico Lusaka Sports Complex, where we are witnessing a friendly football match with members of the Tekie Zambia Interparliamentary Friendship Group. I'm not alone. Constantino is here with me. Hello and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, George.
It's good to be here.
Very good to be here, and we expect a very interesting game, you know.
Okay, yes, seeing our parliamentarians actually on the pitch, it's quite interesting.
Most definitely, it's one of those rare moments that you don't usually get, because we are used seeing our parliamentarians debating, and now today we have been given a different opportunity where we get to see, of course, Honorable Oliver Mtike. We try to see the skills, and of course we get to see Honorable Peter Piri. So it's, we expect a very interesting game.
Okay, all right. So any predictions?
Well, I think games like this, I will tell you, there are too many goals that come through.
To be raining goals.
To be raining goals. So I expect maybe to have more than 15 goals in actually one match.
All right, I guess we'll wait and see. But meanwhile, join me as I talk to one of the organizers of this friendly football match today. I am now joined by Mr. Msonda, who is one of the organizers of this friendly football match. Mr. Msonda, welcome to the program.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Good to have you. Now, give me an insight of what exactly is happening here today.
All right, so today there's a soccer match between the Zambia Turkish Parliamentary Friendship Group together with the staff from the Turkish Embassy. They've come together to celebrate the democracy and national unity, which is a holiday in Turkey. It's a symbolic holiday in that the people of Turkey, some of the people in Turkey, saved their country. That's why they call it national unity. There was a failed coup attempt on 15th July 2016. So every year the Turkish celebrate this holiday, and they invited members of the Zambia Turkish Parliamentary Friendship Group to come and celebrate with them through soccer.
Okay, so why soccer in particular?
Well, first of all, they have understood that Zambians love soccer, and soccer has always been a way to unify different tribes, religions, and it's also one way to share, ideas. Well, they felt that's the best way to help celebrate.
Okay, yeah. Talking about celebrations, I want your predictions. I know the last match that was held here, it was raining goals. So what are your predictions?
I think we're going to score more than 5 goals.
More than 5 goals?
We have a very good bench.
Thank you so much for coming through, Mr. Msonda.
Thank you, Mr. Piri. Thank you for having me.
There you go. Mr. Msonda giving us an insight of what exactly is happening here today. And on the other side, let's join Constantino as he talks to Mr. Shaka Fuswa.
All right, so joining me right now is the team's captain from